My name is Carol Lammons, co-founder of CU Citizens for Peace and Justice, as well as Champaign County Board Member, District 5 Representative. I'll read a statement from CU Citizens for Peace and Justice. In summary, CU Citizens for Peace and Justice calls into question the investigation of the Kiwane Carrington shooting by Champaign Police and the Champaign County State's Attorney's Office being biased in this case. We provide evidence by citing statements by public officials themselves and recently required FOIA documents of the Champaign City Manager and staff. State's Attorney's determination in the case has not been released, but from all other indications, we expect it to be a foregone conclusion. Statement. We at Champaign-Urbana Citizens for Peace and Justice and the family of Kiwane Carrington are here today to state clearly that the current investigation into the death of Kiwane Carrington and any decisions based on this investigation are invalid because the process to determine what happened in October 9, 2009 that resulted in the shooting death of 15-year-old Kiwane Carrington appears contaminated. The Champaign County State's Attorney, who is evaluating this investigation, has already demonstrated prejudice and bias concerning the events of October 9th. Also, recent statements made by public officials and new evidence from a recent Freedom of Information Act request have shown that the public cannot trust the objectivity of this investigation, nor the state's attorney's ability to avoid favoritism towards the officers involved. In order for the community to have complete confidence in the fairness of the investigation, both to the officers involved and to the victims of this tragedy, and in order for all to believe this investigation was thorough and pursued all relevant information, the citizens of Champaign County must have the Department of Justice, Department of Criminal Investigation assume responsibility for the gathering of facts regarding actions taken by all parties. CU Citizens will be working in conjunction with the state and national NAACP to elicit the Department of Justice input. We insist that a special prosecutor outside of Champaign County be assigned to evaluate such an investigation. First off, the subjects of the Illinois State Police investigation, Champaign Police Chief R.T. Finney and Champaign Police Officer Daniel Norbitz have been allowed to remain on duty during the time of this investigation, contaminating the investigation. The return of Officer Norbitz to employment and the refusal of Champaign City government to even consider administrative leave for Chief Finney, the commanding officer on the scene, are not only insults toward the family of Kiwane, but also allows both officers unprecedented access to information and witnesses during this significant investigation of the killing of a youth. Chief Finney is supervisor over the witnesses being questioned. Officer Norbitz is their co-worker. Whether or not these officers actually influenced the investigation, the appearance of such impropriety has cast such doubt on the reliability of the investigation that the results, whenever they are released publicly and whatever they may state, cannot be trusted. Secondly, the public cannot trust the objectivity and independence of the multi-jurisdictional investigative team that is assisting the Illinois State Police. Composed of Rantoul, Champaign County, University of Illinois, and City of Urbana police officers, this local team cannot be considered independent of the Champaign Police Department. It is well known that officers in these jurisdictions work very closely with the Champaign police officers. All 5 departments have officers who have graduated from the same school, often work on the same criminal cases, serve on the same SWAT teams, attend the same training seminars, shoot at the same shooting range, respond to the same dispatch calls for backup, and have the opportunity to socialize off hours. It is quite possible that Chief Finney and Officer Norbitz have been investigated by personal friends, known colleagues, and fellow students. The close working relationship between the local police departments inspires no public confidence that the investigating officers would be willing to follow evidence that implicates wrongdoing on the part of their fellow professionals. The appearance of local police investigating local police is unacceptable. Thirdly, the state's attorney has demonstrated that she is not an objective and unbiased reviewer of the police investigation. The public has been repeatedly told to wait for the investigation to be completed before assuming anything about the events of October 9th. This investigation took approximately 33 days to complete. The results have still not been released. And yet 4 days after the incident, 29 days before the investigation was finished, the Champaign County State's Attorney, whose job it is to now determine whether Chief Finney and Officer Norbert should be held criminally responsible for the death of Kiwane Carrington, accepted the testimony of these two officers about the incident and represent their testimony as fact in a juvenile court hearing on October 12th. Before receiving the Illinois State Police investigation, the Champaign County State's Attorney has already decided what happened on October 9th. Before the Illinois State Police submitted their investigation, the state's attorney was publicly prosecuting the other youth, the key witness to the pending investigation, using the police testimony as the state's witnesses, the subjects of that investigation. While representing all the people of Champaign County, the state's attorney has chosen to compromise the rights of the victims in this case. The rules of professional conduct mandate that representing one client at the expense of another is strictly prohibited. The state's attorney has already established a clear conflict of interest. She should not be allowed to evaluate the investigation into the behavior of Chief Finney and Officer Norbert. Therefore, we are calling for a Federal Department of Justice investigation into the incident and special prosecutor to be assigned from outside of Champaign County to determine whether prosecution is called for. To further highlight specific examples why the final report about this investigation and its subsequent evaluation cannot be trusted, we provide the following. To further highlight the untrustworthiness of the current investigation, we offer 3 examples obtained through Freedom of Information Act requests. Number 1, in an October 11th email written by Champaign City Manager Steve Carter to the Champaign City Council describing the events of October 9th, Mr. Carter wrote, quote, "The state's attorney responded to the scene and will provide some consultation for the investigation." Confirming the possibility that the Champaign County State's Attorney has been directly involved in the Illinois State Police investigation is an October 27th email sent to Champaign City Council member Marcy Dodds from the State's Attorneys, where the State's Attorney admits she has been monitoring and participating in the investigation. Number 2, in a November 2nd email sent by Champaign Deputy Police Chief Troy Daniels, Mr. Daniels reveals that the Champaign Police Department was likely provided a copy of the final Illinois State Police report at the same time as the State's Attorney's Office. It is possible that Chief Finney and/or Officer Norbert, while on duty, could have read the report and helped to craft a response raising suspicions. That is, that they have had access to this document for weeks while the public is left in the dark is unacceptable. Therefore, we assert that the contents and evaluation of the investigation into the death of Kiwane Carrington, as it has been assembled and is being processed, will offer no assurances that it will be accurate, nor that it will be complete, nor influenced by favoritism and sympathy for the police officers involved. Under these circumstances, we are not assured that justice will be served, and therefore the necessary healing for the entire community cannot be achieved. The death of Kiwane Carrington puts us at the threshold of improving our police departments, implementing better apprehension techniques, and establishing better use of force restrictions that can be agreed upon by the general public. Unfortunately, public officials have chosen the way of secrecy, cover-up, and inside dealing to protect their reputations, their careers, and avoid liability in civil court. The unintended consequences of such behavior is the appearance that the life of this black young youth has no value. This democracy demands total transparency and independent checks and balances. We must have further independent third-party investigations. We must have an objective evaluation. We will now further answer questions at this point.